Okay, so what we are going to talk today here is the very important part, that is error handling in Lightning Web Component. So far what we have seen is we have only seen the errors coming into the console and displaying those errors into the console, but that's not how you are going to work in the real time with your clients. You definitely need to showcase the error to the customers that this is the error, so that they can understand that there is any error, and they cannot keep retrying the request, or they cannot keep retrying the form submit again and again based on the different scenarios, based on the different conditions. They will not like keep doing the same operation and again and again. So this is probably the last video of our training sessions. Then one thing that is pending is the Salesforce project, the walkthrough, the documentation. So that I will be sharing it on Monday, and then that's basically the thing we are going to have. And then we'll keep in touch via Slack channel, so that you can ask question whatever the doubt that you have, and then maybe we can have a doubt session if someone wants. Okay, and then after that we'll also share some questions that we are preparing, the interview question and answers, so you can practice those. So let's talk about the error handling. So there are two or three types of error handlings that we are going to see here. Is some of them we are already doing, like we are already sending, let's say, using the promise methods then and catch, and we are already doing the console.error into the browser. But how effectively we can see that error, we can display that error into the browser, that is what we will see today. So first we are going to talk about JavaScript error, then we are going to talk about Apex error, because we have two different options. We have this JavaScript that is client side, and then we have Apex that is server side. So when there is any error comes, whenever the error is on the JavaScript side because of the JavaScript variables, maybe because of the undefined variables you are trying to access, you get the information, you get the error like there are three errors. There are three main variables that gives you the error. One is name, then there is message, and there is stack. So name gives you what the error exactly is and what is the message, and stack is going to give you the complete code line by line where exactly the error comes. Okay, this is just a simple example that you could see. We have used try and catch for the error handling for now. We will talk about try and catch as well. And then what we did is we said undefined variable dot get method. So this variable is not defined at all. So once we try to access this, we try to use this, we'll get some error. This is how you will get the error into the UI. Like error dot name says reference error. That means the variable is whatever is referenced, there is some error. Error message says, okay, this undefined variable is not defined. And this is your stack, which gives you that, okay, wherever the line or wherever the error is, you get this complete stack over here. Now this is the name, and message is the part which you can display to your browser, to the user, that this is what happening. Okay. Then comes the error handling when we are talking, because this is the most important part. The previous one that we talked about is going to be very less. The most important part, that is going to be the error when we are getting in terms of while we are trying to interact with Salesforce. Let's say you're trying to send the data to Salesforce, you're getting some error. You're trying to retrieve the data from Salesforce, you're getting some error. That error, how we could handle is, so basically Salesforce, what Salesforce does is they actually gives you the error in the form of a custom object. Okay, there is a new custom object, there is a new custom error object that gives you the flexibility to get all the errors. And what that new custom object is, that is, we really don't know what exactly that object is, but what we know is the information, the details that object does have. It gives us 4 objects that, and one of them is okay, that going to always be false in terms of if there is any error. Okay, then we are going to get a status, that is going to give you the error message status, whatever the status of that error is. Then you've got a status text, it is going to give you the text about your error message, some sort code, some sort text. And then body is a type of object, okay, which will basically give you the different objects, different types of error. Now there are various errors, okay, there are so many types of error in Lightning Web Component, and that we all cannot know like what are all the errors, and we don't even know what are all the variables. So what Salesforce does is they have this LWC recipes. Under this they have got LDS utils, and this actually covers all the error messages for us. And this LDS util has a method called reduce errors, which they are exporting as part of a reusable JavaScript. And then if you see here, I'll walk you through. This is what something we will use at the as a final product. This is what we are going to use, like do the copy paste and use it. But what it has, you say here, it has UI API errors, it has page label errors, it has field label errors, then it has UI API DMLs, it has UI API field level errors, then UI API DML and Apex. So there are different types of error it actually has. If it is a JavaScript error, it displaying the multiple things. So because we really don't know, that's why Salesforce has given us the ability to use this function and then use it wherever we want to parse our error and get exact error message and display into the UI. But let's come back to our flow where we're talking about. This is the error handling that we have done in terms of Apex. Okay, so what we did is we created a method throw exception, that is throwing an exception divide by 0. And we are calling that exception method within our JavaScript, and within the catch method, we will get that error. Okay. And this is what you will get. As we talked about, you are going to get OK, that says false, status as 500, status text as server error. And within body, you got the message, it says divide by 0. There could be multiple types of error. Okay. Now, these are the different types of error. What we just talk about is the errors that could occur and that would occur whenever you are working in the LWC development. Now, what are the different types of error handling? How we could handle the different types of error in Lightning Web Component? So there are different ways. Try catch, error callback we have already seen. We already keep using promise functions, and we will see how we are going to check the validity for the users. Okay. While working with the Apex class, there are two different ways for throwing the exception. You could use the Aura handled exception class that is provided by Salesforce, or you could create your own exception class like custom exception that is going to extend the exception. And then you could just throw the custom exception from the Apex class, and then user would be able to see that complete exception in JavaScript in the form of this object like OK status body status text. In this form itself, the user will see the error. Okay. Now let's talk about how we do this. So first of all, does anyone have any questions before we go here? Anyone has any question in terms of full calendar or any other questions that you guys might have? Okay. So what I did is I have this exception util class, which is having nothing, which is just having the same code as we talked about. So what we are doing is we are using try catch within Salesforce, and I am intentionally throwing the error on the line number 6, which says that divide by 0 is the exception that's going to come into the picture. Okay. Or maybe I could instead of divide by 0, I could say SEC equal to new SEC. Okay. And just try to insert this SEC record. That's it, because account name is the required field on the account. So if I don't provide the name at the time of account creation, I will get that error. And as we are using try catch, so we will get that error and we are throwing that exception here to, we're sending the exception back to Lightning Web Component. And there is also, I have created a custom exception class. So any exception class that you are creating in Salesforce must need to like end with exception and must need to extend the class called exception, and it should not have anything else. It just need to have these 2-3 lines of code. That's it. Okay. So that's what we have. And then what I did is I have this one exception component, which is actually intentionally throwing a couple of exceptions here. One exception with the help of Apex class that we have here. You all know how to call the Apex class. I'm calling it from the connected callback. And then there is one exception that we are trying to throw for the JavaScript so that I can showcase you both kind of errors. Okay. And then I'm also going to basically put the same code here before the try catch. And there is again a purpose behind this to showcase. So this component is already exposed to the Lightning app builders. I have already added into the UI. You could see here, you already know the process. So I really don't need to show it to you. So what we have to do is, all we need to do is once we have added our component, or maybe refresh this page. So, okay, we don't see this component is coming here. Okay, the component itself is not coming. Okay, and there is a reason behind this, because this particular line, because of this line, you really don't know, like if this particular like this variable does not have anything and you're trying to access get defined get method, sometimes you get the pop-up saying that there is an error. Sometimes you don't get the component like this. So to get rid of this, what you like to handle the error for certain kind of this. So what here we are trying to do is, first of all, we are trying to use the variable that is not even defined. You see here, the variable is not defined even at the class, even here within the JavaScript method. So what we do is we always check for the validity. So what we talked about, we are going to check, let's say, you're going to say if this dot undefined variable, then here you have to put it like this. Okay, let's see if this works. Okay, so now we are going to refresh this, and you could see our component has been rendered clearly. Even we don't have this variable defined on the top of our class, but what we are doing is we are checking if there is something within this variable, then only go here. And then there is another way for using a try catch that you have already done. And once you, because this is what you are doing is you are handling it, and this particular thing is only going to get called if there is something within this method. Okay, within this variable. But what this is going to do is, this is also going to give you the error. It's going to say, okay, if there is some error, do the try catch. Okay, try catch means you can put the code that can throw the exception, or that might fail. So you can use try catch, and you could have multiple try catch. Okay, and within try you could have try again. So that's not a big deal. So you will have try catch, and this is where you will see the message. So if you see here in the browser I have printed, you could see error.message says reference error. Error.name, message is undefined variable is not defined, and this is our complete stack trace. So now if you want to display this particular message into the UI, so how you will do is, you definitely need to have a message. You need to have a variable called maybe error. Okay, and here what you could do is, you'll say this dot error equal to error.message. Okay, and then display this error message here into the UI. How you will display is, you could have a paragraph or something and have a condition here. You say if true, that means if there is something in this error variable, then only display this error message. And you will see that you would be able to see this error message. You would be able to showcase this error message here. So if you refresh this now, Okay, so you could see here it clearly says this is an error. Now you really what happens like in terms of ideal way, what is that when there is any error, you display into the red background some white color, that kind of things. Okay, so what now we will do is we are going to say, okay, let's go to SLDS here, SLDS alerts. Okay, SLDS alert, and you can say error. So this is going to basically give you the error background. You could even do this custom CSS like style color equal to red. You could have a division of paragraph, that kind of things you could do, but it really has, Salesforce does provide us the information, so we can use this and we really don't need to bother about. So I'm going to just copy this code and paste it here. Okay. Okay, so code is now here. Now, instead of putting this condition into the paragraph, I'll put into the top division. Okay, and where I'm going to display this error, this place here, this is our error, so we need to display this, and we really don't need this hyperlink, so just get rid of this. And if you notice, there is a close icon and there is a cross icon. So what you have to do is you need to append, prepend, as we talked about, right? It is going to be Apex Pages. I think it is Apex Pages, latest, and SLDS. Not sure if this is the correct one, and I'm going to revert and we will see which one works and we'll keep that one. Okay, so this way now you will see that your particular, that piece of code, this piece of code is going to be displayed into the error format that we have here. So now if you refresh this, you could see here into the error format, and the other part of our component is the correct, and now we could see our error messages here. So now this is SLDS latest, like this, to showcase the message here. This is the one piece of our way of handling. Now, how do you handle this? Like, this is already, you have done the handling, you've already used the error handling, and you are able to display the information into the UI. Now, there is another part of error handling, that is this, where if you see here below itself, okay, here you see that there is some exception, which we have got body says message insert failed, first exception, or something like that. Okay, then we have got error type, whatever the error type is. Then we have got OK status and status text. Okay, so now you definitely wanted to basically get this message and display into the UI. So there are various cases for this. Okay, there are various cases where you said here. So what are those cases? I'm sorry, how you will handle this? Okay, how you are going to say, how you're going to handle this. So now this is where you got the error. So the very first thing that you could do is you could say, okay, let error equal to unknown message. Okay, this is the first message that you could put here, not error. So you could say let error message. Okay, then what you will do is, what you can do is, you will say if array dot is array, there is a method within array class which checks if that particular variable is array or not. Okay, so because we talked about, right, body can have array, body can have a string, it could have anything. So what we'll do is we'll check if array dot, like array dot is array, error dot body. So what currently we have error dot body, and it has got message. Okay, so it's not an array, it's an object here. It's an object, right? If you try to print this in the form of like JSON.stringify error, you will see that it is an object. So it's going to say array dot is array. That means this error dot body is not an array. That means it is an object. So what you could like, if the body is an array, we are going to leave as it is. Else, what we will do is we'll say, okay, error message equal to error dot body dot message, because that is where our place is, error dot body dot message. And then at the end, say this dot error equal to error message. And now let's deploy this code. Okay. So now if we come back to our Salesforce org and we refresh this page, you can see here there is an icon coming up, and you could see it says insert failed, first exception on row 0, a required field missing, and these are the fields that are missing. Okay, and you clearly see that message here because that is not an array, and you see here this is an object itself. Okay, now there could be some use cases. There could be some use cases where you have some there is some error coming up, and what are those use case? This was simple for Apex use case. Okay, let's try to have let's say account ID equal to, I'm going to have the account ID. So we're trying to have the multiple scenarios for the errors so that you could know what kind of error are going to come, and then you could parse it easily. So I'm just going to have an ID, and then again I'm trying to insert it. Okay, so it will give us the error that ID cannot be specified in an insert call or something. So let's come back to our page and refresh this. And Rohit, if you if you see some error, please feel free to maybe unmute because I'm in a different screen.
Sure.
So you see here, this is a different error now we got. It clearly says that, okay, error 0 with ID. This is the ID first error, and this is what we are getting the error. And our message, our whatever the model that we have here is getting basically bigger and bigger based on our need. Okay, this is the one thing. Next thing is that there could be multiple errors. What are those errors? Now let me talk about that. So what we will do is we are going to import the create record method, okay, or maybe update record. So we are going to have import UI record. Oh, sorry, it's going to be create record. Okay, so this is our UI record API method for creating a record. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to really comment out these two because we really don't need. Okay, we have got this throw exception that is again we really don't need, so we can comment this out because we got the solution. We got how to work with this. So what we will do is now we will say, okay, create record, and it's going to have the, again we need to basically prepare, we'll say fields. Okay, it's going to have object, and within fields we are going to say fields, let's say first name. It could be anything, and we're not going to give the last name for the contact, and we are going to have constant record input. It takes something like API name is something it does take, and that is contact, and it takes fields. Okay, and this is what we have like, and then we have got this catch and finally. So we're just going to, sorry, then catch and finally. These are all three. We're just doing the copy paste. So we have got this time what we have got is we have got this exception is going to come. We are going to print that exception, and the same thing is whatever we have. It's same, nothing. The only thing that we have changed is we are using UI record API for creating a record, for making a DML. So if we refresh this now, you can see it only says an error occurred while trying to update the record page. Please try again. And if you see your message here, okay, this particular JSON file, if I go to the new tab and search code beautifier and paste it, you could clearly see that it has body. Okay, body is an object. Then body has output. Output is an object. Then body has field errors, and field errors again it is an object, and it gives you the information. Okay, so you definitely wanted to parse this and display at least this message. Like you definitely wanted, you can display this message. You also wanted to display this message so that user can get to know which field is required what exactly the error message is, right? So this is something that you really have to now tackle this within your, we'll say, within your JavaScript file. So that is where this LWC recipes comes into the picture. It really takes care of every single thing, every single error, every single DML. You see, they talk about UI API, they talk about page labels, they talk about field labels, they talk about UI API, page label errors, DML errors. So every single thing they talk about. So better to use this function, because to be honest, I also like if I go ahead and keep describing you, not describing, like trying to explain you this, you will get into such a situation where you will not understand anything. And I want you all to be in a safe zone. So just use this, because this is such a place where no one is going to ask you in the interview. Okay, what they are going to ask, we have already covered. What are the different types, how you could handle it, and how you could display into the UI. Now you could always go ahead, let's quickly use this component itself. We are going to use this. Okay, so I'm going to create a Lightning web component with the same name, LDS util. We really don't need this HTML file, so we can delete this. And we are going to take the same code here. This is because Salesforce has given us this ability. And we are going to put it within, okay, LDS util, this one, this JavaScript, paste it here. So what we have done is, this is similar, right? If you remember, we have created a reusable JavaScript. So this is what we are doing. We have exported a function. That function name is reduce error. It accepts the errors, what errors that you're getting as part of your catch or any other error. And it does the parsing based on what it actually needs, and it returns an error message. It returns an error message to you. Okay. There are multiple methods, multiple manipulations, sanitization, transformation. These are being used. You really don't need to worry about that. Later on, you can go and see what exactly is happening. Okay, now let's go ahead and deploy this. Now, to use this, what you have to do is, you really have to import this LDS util method. So how you'll import is, you'll say import. This is reduce error. Okay, reduce errors from LDS utils. That is going to be C-LDS utils, like this. Okay. And now what you could do is, you could say here now, instead of playing around with all these, you could say, you just use the method, pass the error, and it is going to give you the error message. You could just have the console.log. Okay. Console.log, this error message, and see what exactly comes up into the UI. Are we able to see that or not? So now we're going to refresh this page. And you could see here, it clearly says required fields are missing last name. So it did the parsing for us, and we are able to see that details over here. Now, no matter what error is coming. Now let me use the same code here, same 3 lines code for this error. Okay. And the same 3 lines code here as well. So we are going to try one by one. Now we are going to uncomment this, the try catch. Okay. And comment out the top code here. So we have just uncommented this. We use the same concept here. Okay. Method is same. That is the reusable method. And we are trying to display the details. So if you come back here, you could see undefined variable is not defined is our error. Now let's comment this out as well and uncomment this exception that we are getting from Salesforce. And we will see that our error message is getting changed. So Salesforce has given us this library, and that is really useful. There is one more component that they have given us that I'll walk you through. So you see here, now we are getting this error message. So anytime, anywhere we wanted to parse the error, that is our go-to method. That is our go-to library. That is LDS utils. Just go ahead and use it as per your need. Okay. Now there is one thing that Salesforce has into their library is they are saying this error message is something you would want it to have at multiple places, at multiple components. Okay. So what you have to do is you have to import this method at multiple places, right? And then you have to call that method as multiple places this way. So what Salesforce has done is they created a separate component itself for error handling. They have created a component called error panel that you will get into this library itself. I've just pinged over the Slack channel. So that component name is error panel. Okay. Here. So what you can do is for any kind of error handling, just go ahead, create this error panel. Now let me showcase. What we have to do is we really have to create a Lightning Web component, name it as error panel. You can say error details, exception details, anything. Okay. And now, first of all, let's quickly have this JavaScript file. So what we will do is we'll say, okay, go to raw. Okay. And then have this JavaScript, just replace it because you have created the message. Sorry, you have created the component with the same name. Okay. It accepts few parameters like errors, friendly message, and type, and it has few methods. Okay. It already imports this reduce error. It has few templates that should be within the template folder. So we are going to create the folder called templates. And we'll make sure that this is correct. Okay. And this template folder is going to have two HTML files. So if you see there is one inline message. So we are going to create this HTML file within the template folder. And then just do the copy paste. Then there is one something called no data illustration.html. This is going to use some kind of SVG for you all to display some image. So just do whatever the code is here, do copy paste. Okay, and paste it here. Once you're done with this, make sure you're deleting this error panel.html because this is not needed at all. We really don't need it. So we are going to deploy this now. Once you have this error panel, right? You already have this error panel within your Salesforce org. You have got this LDS util within your Salesforce org. And within this exception component here, now you really don't need this. You can get rid of this and you can comment it out. What you need is a single line, and what that single line is going to contain is it's going to contain c-error-panel. Okay. And you really need to pass few parameters, and those parameters are, if you go to that component JavaScript file, that is errors. It takes what is the error you are getting, what are the errors you are getting. Okay, you have this variable called error, just pass this here. Then it takes one message called friendly message. This is friendly message. Okay, so you could say friendly message, and I will say, let's say error occurred while updating account record, and friendly message M is going to be like this. And then it takes type parameter, right? And it actually tells you what you need to pass as a type, what you need to pass into the type. Okay, type of message. You need to pass inline. You see here inline message. So let's send the value for type as well. There is something called type, and we are going to pass inline message. This is one thing that you need to do on your HTML side, just one line of code. And within your JavaScript, now what you need to do is you really don't need to do all these things. You just need to say whatever the error is coming, assign it into your error object and make this object as @track, because it is going to contain too many things. And then just have this single line of code anywhere the error comes into the picture. Need to do nothing. Okay. Now you really don't need this reduce error method to be imported anywhere. Now you could have that error component everywhere. In any component, you could install that error panel object. Okay, error panel component. Now let's refresh this page. You could see here what it says, error occurred. This is my friendly message. And if I click on show details, then it will show me this details. Okay, this is my details. Again, I click on, it is going to hide. So this is the error message. One thing you can definitely go to this inline.html message and you can change the way you want here, right? You could change this message in the form of the big red box that we have seen, just like here we have, right? You could just utilize this and put it there. That you could do, because this is now in the hand of yours. So you could just have put it here. Let's say, yeah, you could just do that. I'm not going to do here. One thing is that no data illustration. So if you want to showcase the outcome of this, send anything into the type instead of inline message. So if you send anything apart from inline message and you refresh this, okay, you will see the message like this. It says error occurred. Again, this is again into the form of simple text. You want to make it as a red color, you could have that. And if you click on show details, then you will see the details. So it actually gives you this message, this image, that is an SVG file, which was prepared using this SVG icon. You see SVG tag here, you could see. So that's basically something that you have as part of your error handling. And this LWC recipes actually has so many components, so many LWC. So if you want to check this, I would highly recommend to go ahead and check this LWC recipes. They keep updating it time to time, and we really get so many things, so many hacks to learn from Salesforce. So any questions so far?
It's not related to the session, but like suppose like when we go to inspect, right? So what I notice is like sometime like wherever, like suppose we are doing console.log. So initially, like on the right hand side, the component name will come sometimes, and sometimes it say aura.prod. So like I'm not able to understand like how it is basically not giving component name and it is giving that one.
So it's basically because of Lightning Locker service, and I think they have recently came up with another security, that is Lightning Web Security. So because of that, it actually tried to mask the component so that anyone, maybe some intruder or some hacker, even get the link. Maybe let's say this is component being used in a public community. So there is a possibility they can get into our system, right? So because of that, Salesforce is trying to mask everything with the help of the different securities. And I believe one thing that Rohit shared with me earlier is like now, because of Lightning Locker service and LWS, that Lightning Web Security, we are not able to use this debugger. Earlier day we were trying to use debugger. So I think that is one of the case. I still need to figure it out if that is the case, but you really see here, we will not find our components and we are
Yes,
not able to use. Right?
yeah,
So
actually, like previously, like when we used to click, we can put there like watch points or something.
yeah, we used to have some other place. I also remember. So that is basically some security things that Salesforce is coming up. I think that we cannot really control.
Okay. Actually, like I saw in like some org, it was like Aura prod, and some org like components were coming. So okay. Okay.
Yeah, there might not be like those settings might not be enabled the LWS.
So is it like we have to, okay, so basically, okay, so we have to enable something?
For the older orgs, I really can't recall the release name, but there is some release. So any org which was created before that release, it will not be enabled, but any org created after that release will be LWC enabled.
Okay. Okay.
So it's like a critical update that you need to enable.
Then like basically then we have only way to basically debug is like put console, right?
Yeah.
Like,
You could use console. I think there is something called Apex debugger. Oh, sorry, not Apex debugger, Apex replay debugger. There is a, if you see here, there is something that comes with the Salesforce extension pack itself. This is Apex replay debugger. There is a video available in Apex hours that I have recorded itself. So I think that is something called top 10 VS Code extensions. Something is that, something like that is the title. So if you go there, I've covered this Apex replay debugger pretty much. You would be able to debug it using this debugger itself. And then you could try to use this debugger statement like here, as we talked about, right? You could try to have this debugger and see if this exactly helps. I'm still trying to figure it out. If I find it, I'll cover it during our doubt sessions, maybe whenever we will try to connect.
sure. I mean, like, yeah, yesterday you given that, right? Local server thing. There was some error came, right?
Yeah, that's still pending.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, that's still pending.
Amit, you can disable LWS from session settings, and then we can debug from Chrome normally.
Okay, so we can
But
we
then,
can try it.
yes, but
can-
then that is not the recommended way, considering Salesforce is pushing out LWS now.
Yeah, that is basically something that we have to keep in mind. So maybe we definitely had to put something at somewhere. Yeah, I think we can try it. But as Rohit said, right, it is something like we cannot, like it's not recommended by Salesforce. So,
Yeah,
but
maybe
as a
like,
developer, we can
yeah, maybe like
definitely,
in our dev, or maybe we can have that.
yes, yeah, that's what I was trying about to say. Like as a developer, you could always have that, like you could have that flexibility. So I'm not sure which option it is. This one, right?
Lightning Web, yes, this one.
Yes. Okay.
So
We
if you
can
disable
just,
it, refresh your page, you'll get components back in that Lightning folder.
okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
So which folder it is?
In console, right? We'll get in
Uh,
console.
I mean,
can you empty cache once? I mean, like refresh with hard refresh.
okay. Okay, this is this, yeah, here it is now.
Yes, module C. This is where you'll get your components.
Yes, now my debugger it went and then it actually passed there. Yeah. So yeah, I think this is something you can use, Mayank, right? Anyone, like not Mayank, anyone can just disable that setting and they can just use the breakpoints, and then they can see what exactly the value is coming there and what is not coming.
Amit, can you please click console also? You just want to check like in console on the, if there is any error there also, it will give the name of the component.
No,
Oh,
there
okay.
is,
Yeah,
we're
it's
not
giving.
having any
No,
consoles there.
yeah, yeah, no, it's giving basically at the
Okay.
last one, full calendar, last one, right? Something.
Yeah, this one.
full
Okay,
calendar,
this
yeah.
full calendar with, yep. So that actually gives you this. You could click here and it will take you to the, I think, module, and wherever it is, it will take you there. So that is one thing. And next thing that I had is I made a few changes into full calendar, is like I made this date clickable. Okay, so if you click on this date, it is going to take you to the date. You can come back. Let's see if I click on 5th of, you can see I've got one event. If I click on this event, I'm usually displaying the subject and description of my event instead of having the generic. And if I click somewhere on the date, I'm just having a simple modal which says new event. I could have the input variables here for taking the inputs, cancel and save button. Okay. This is one thing that I have made, and there is one thing that I made is you could drag and drop the event now. Okay, so if I drop it here, I've just had an error alert says LWC training was dropped on this particular date, which is I think 21st of June. And if I click OK, it will say, are you sure you about to this change? Now, if you click on OK, it's going to drop this calendar here. If you click on cancel, it's going to send it back. So this is one more thing, like it's not actually going to update behind the scene in your Salesforce if you have displaying Salesforce records, but it is going to let you which date your event has been moved to, and you can call the Apex class and make the changes. So to make this, what I have done is there is nothing rocket science, just a few here and there changes, some Boolean variables. So what I did is I said, okay, these are some of the Boolean variables that we have, like nav links. Nav links make sure that you've got these links. Okay. Editable is, I really don't know. I really don't think this is required, but I've just added. Okay. Event limit is something I've also added. A drag, scroll, and droppable. These are basically the two main things that is for dragging and dropping. Okay. That's what happening here. So these are the two Boolean variables. And then for event drop, I have added the event which is binding to a method, which takes 3 parameters. Again, this is something is available into your document. And I'm just having this alert here. Revert function is the function which is going to revert if the user is not confirming the confirmations, is not providing the consent for dragging the change. So that's the couple of changes that I have done. Okay. So yeah, that is all I have. I still am yet to receive the Git username for some of you. If you provide me, I'll share the code, the complete code that I have here. Okay. So if you just share me your GitHub username, I'll share this repo with you. I'll add you as collaborator so that you can get the access to the code.